Hello and welcome to what should hopefully become a thing that we're doing here at Strategy Guide Reviews, and that is we're going to do a video guide review. I'm going to do this with the Bloodborne guide. Now, if you've listened to our podcast, you may know that we discussed that this guide was actually reviewed or delayed by 2 weeks, roughly. And considering Future Press has done all of the guide reviews for Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, they've put out some great guides for those. I've given them both a 4.5 out of 5 because it's so good. So my hopes were that this wasn't going to cause a problem with this guide, and really my expectations were met, and pretty much any hopes that I had that this guide was going to be great, yeah, they knocked it out of the park on this one. So let's start. As you can tell, like the rest of their Dark Souls guides, it is a hefty guide. It clocks in, I think, right around 550 pages, so it's like a small book. You can tell, nice hardbound cover. So you got the nice Bloodborne logo there. You got a nice little saying back there. And as you can tell already, when I was flipping this around, we already have side markers on there. So easy navigation, as you can tell right out of the gate. You just kind of got to know where you're at in this book, where you kind of start learning that, this is going to be the bestiary here, this is going to be the attire, and this is going to be some of the other stuff that they're going to cover. Overall, pretty good, because this got shipped to, I believe, Cary, and then it comes over to me. Yeah, the USPS kind of banged it up, but other than that. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. If you're new to any of the Souls games, obviously you're going to want to start out with the whole let's get started. It's going to teach you all about the game. This one in particular is nice because Bloodborne is a different kind of beast. It's still really hard. Well, it's easier than the Dark Souls games, but it's still a hard game. But Bloodborne was set up to be much more combat focused, so there's no real defensive stuff. You're going to be doing a lot more as far as your combat, trying to chain some of your moves together. They also kind of go into the whole aspect of if you get hit by an enemy, if you quickly go back at them, you recover some of your life. So there's a lot of health management, menus, all that kind of good stuff. So if you're new to the Souls game, you definitely want to take some time, go through this. If you're already a seasoned veteran, it's going to feel very familiar to you, so you may just want to go through some of the combat stuff just to kind of get a grasp on it if you haven't done that already. From there, we essentially get into what they call is the walkthrough, and this, man, this is so full of information. I mean, you can just kind of look at, there's all kinds of stuff there, and then you got some really handy maps. So each of these sections, they start off with an overview. It tells you what you're going to do. It kind of gives you a map of what you're going to do. But then what I really liked is that they went through and broke it down into sections and then gave you even more detail on what's going on in those sections. And you also get more maps on that. So if you'd stopped the game because you're going on a family vacation or something, or you had to go out to dinner and you came back, you had a great place to start and go through and kind of refamiliarize yourself with the area that you're in, because I know sometimes I'll play this game or I'll play a game and then I'll stop playing for a couple weeks and then I come back and I'm like, well, what the hell am I doing? Where am I going? That whole overview part, that's great. Love that. Also having all the little breakdowns. What I also liked is, okay, so just off of the section here, so you can tell that you got the map over here and you got stuff going on over here. But if I can get this to zoom in on it, you can almost tell. You can kind of see that there at the courtyard, how it shows you that there's like a little number 2. What all these little numbers on underneath each of these little bubbles are, so they're right there, right up there. What those correlate to is what's going on over here. So on the map, they'll have a nice little number that kind of tells you, here's the Quicksilver bullets. And then you can come over here in the courtyard and you kind of get a nice little, this is number 2, this is where the Quicksilver bullets are. You got a nice little screenshot of it. So it breaks that down for you. Overall, the main walkthrough is pretty solid. From there, you kind of get into the bestiary. Let's get there. So, the bestiary, again, really super solidly done. You got nice amounts of text kind of detailing what it is. You got a nice little chart down here telling you what they're weak against, what all their stats are, some strategies on how to beat all the various enemies. This is also where you're going to find your boss battles, which, yeah, I have a problem with that. We'll get into that a bit later. But all your boss battles are going to be in here. Even some of the bigger stuff. Here's the Blood Liquor. So you can tell it. I mean, this got a whole page to itself, right? So that's pretty awesome. I mean, there's just so much stuff in here. Just so many little tips and tricks and hints. And that continues on even into the clothing section, or your weapons, your items, all the stuff that you're picking up. You're going to get a nice little breakdown on this. So here you can see that there's just 4 little simple items, and they take up 1 page. And you can see just how much information is listed here. And what's nice about this too is that it also gives you, if you're thinking about upgrading something, it gives you how that upgrade is going to work, what stats it's going to affect, how it's going to change as you upgrade it. All really well done. The section that caught me by surprise was, I believe if it's, yeah. So in here, so there's the Chalice fights. I had it written down in here. Yeah, so you have they're basically like randomized dungeons, right? So you would think that even in a randomized dungeon, that you wouldn't get a whole lot of information, and you get that the Chalice Dungeons, that's what they're called. You get that in this, which really caught me off guard because I'm like, if this is kind of a random dungeon, what you're gonna get. But as you can tell, just off of a random shot here, you can see that we have a giant map over here, and we have just a whole list of stuff that you can do and how to conquer it. And really, before I started tackling on the Chalice Dungeons, man, that really helped out substantially. So if you're thinking about doing those, this is definitely, you're going to spend a lot of time in that section. You also get into the back here, and we have all the NPCs with some nice details. Now, this part comes in real handy. If you have time, like you meet an NPC and you're like, do I kill you? Do I not kill you? Do I want to kill you yet? Do I not want to kill you yet? You're going to spend a lot of time in here. And the great part about it is, in the walkthrough, they tell you exactly which page to turn to read up on that NPC, so that way you can make your decision. So you're going to be turning pages a lot, but at the same point, it does make it a lot easier to help you decide if on your first playthrough you want to keep somebody or if you want to kill them, if you want to just constantly kill them, if you're going to do New Game Plus 2, that kind of stuff. This part right here, just absolutely amazing. Loved it. Loved every aspect of this. Now, while there's just a mess of information, I mean, seriously, you just turn to any page. Oh yeah, and here's like what happens when you get into a nice new section. I love that. The artwork on this is just absolutely gorgeous. Love it. But as you can see, let's just reiterate, so much information, right? The problem comes in that sometimes the information can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes, in a game that doesn't really give you a whole lot, this is giving you a ton, and there's a lot of stuff to read. I mean, just on here, just this is about the enemy, and then this down here is the strategy about the enemy and how you fight this thing. And, if you're running up on just random creatures, it can take you a while to get through this. And sometimes there are creatures that you need to figure out a strategy because they come in a whole mess of them. So having to stop and read this, this could take you a couple seconds to, maybe a small couple minutes just to get through that all, digest all that information, and then come back. The other thing I didn't like, which I alluded to earlier, was that the boss battles are not in the walkthrough section. I mean, I get that it's kind of nice that, you always have a little door area before you're going to walk in and do the boss battle, but it sucks having to stop where you're at in the guide, flip to the bestiary, read up on the boss battle, then come back and do the boss battle. So there's a lot of page turning. The same thing kind of happens when you find those NPCs, right? The NPCs are listed at one section. They kind of give you a little bit of what's going on in the guide, like in the walkthrough, but you still have to turn to the NPC section and figure that part out. Uh, but I mean, that's really about my only gripe. Probably one of the best things out of this whole guide is you have a full-on interview. And this is not just some like half page, 2 pages. This is a 14-page interview. And it gives you so much information, so much detail as to what went into making this game, what inspired it, where the artwork is, and why they created the world, why they kind of changed it from that whole defensive style to the combat style. This is a great read. I've read the whole interview twice now. I do it usually while I'm drinking my coffee or having lunch. I'll go through and read it. Sometimes I just do it just to look at all the art. I mean, seriously, there's so much good stuff on the artwork here. Overall, I can say that this guide, like the other Dark Souls 2 guides, this is a great thing to have along with you. Even if you've already beaten the game once, pick this guide up. I'm sure it's going to help you find something that you've missed along the way. Yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of page flipping and turning and all that kind of jazz. Sorry, but I mean, I guess in some aspects it makes sense because you want all the bosses in one area and all the NPCs in one area. In another way, it kind of sucks with that, but man, well worth it. Well worth the 2-week wait even. So 4.5 out of 5 is what I'm going to go ahead and give you on this Bloodborne guide. And yeah, that's going to be the video review. So as this is the first one, I'm kind of curious what you think. Go ahead and leave me a comment here on the post. Don't really check the YouTube stuff, so sorry, but you're going to have to come to this website, drop us a little comment, and let me know. So, talk to you soon. Peace.